Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Today on the Singh Army podcast, we're going to be discussing recent events, in particularly the attempted beadbi at Sachkhand Sri Harmandir Sahib. So we've all probably seen the clips, we've all probably seen the news clippings about how somebody tried to go towards Maharaj at Sachkhand Sri Harmandir Sahib, and later what kind of pursued after that was he was killed in the proximity of the Darbar Sahib complex. So today we're going to talk about that, understand what it is that's driving this kind of thing, understand the Sikh reaction, the reaction being him being killed in Teja Singh Sumandri Hall, the head office of the Shromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee, understand why that's kind of being celebrated around the world by all Sikhs, and also understand the kind of opposition to this kind of behaviour and why that exists. So we're going to try and unpack all of that. But first, let's try and get a grip on exactly what happened over those couple of days. Baji.
Yeah, so it was Saturday, I believe, the day that the beadbi took place. So you've got, in terms of the timeline, obviously, it is slowly, I suppose, in a way, being unravelled as they're looking at it. Now, the Darbar Sahib complex, generally speaking, is very, very highly CCTV'd everywhere, so that, you know, all areas are uncovered on CCTV. And I've actually seen today that this guy that's come, a couple of attempts were made by him to come into the complex through the day. From what I'm reading, he's come through the Gantakar side first, and some of the Beredars had a little bit of a shock that he looks like a bit of a shakki answer. So the Beredar, the people that are employed by SGPC to kind of patrol in the Parkarma, they normally kind of have a blue uniform on. They have like a big barsha, a big stick in their hand. So it's saying that he got rejected on Gantakar side. Gantakar is the biggest entrance. It's the one that, as you come down the stairs, it's the one with the most stairs. You come down and you kind of side on from Harmandir Sahib, and Akal Takht Sahib's to your right. So he's tried to come through there. For whatever reason, they've had some suspicions. They've told him to go. He's then come back through the Langar side. He's had Langar and then entered through the Langar side. He's then spent a few hours, from what I'm reading, in the Parkarma. Now, I think what really shows that this is very much pre-planned, he's been sent with a clear mission, is that if he was, and this sounds really, really bad, and actually I feel really guilty saying it, but if he was just going to try and do beadbi, he had all day to try and do that. But he's timed it at the busiest time. So anyone that's been to Sri Harmandir Sahib knows the two busiest times of the day is Amrit Vela, when it's Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji's Prakash, and then the second busiest, or you could say equally busy, is Rera Sahib part, and both of those are televised live, as we know. So, you know, we're sat all over the world, we watch that every day. So he's very clearly tried to go there to make a clear point of doing beadbi. Now, why does that matter? Why is that an issue? I think, and what he's tried to do it at the heart of the Sikhs. Now, everyone knows Sri Harmandir Sahib is the heart of the Sikhs, or, you know, people refer to it as a golden temple. We will refer to it as Sri Harmandir Sahib. That is the heart of the Sikh nation, yeah? That is the home of our spirituality. That's everything for us. And you've got someone who's jumped over the jungla. So he's gone in, he's jumped over the fencing. Inside that fencing, even an armed Gursikh throughout the day is not allowed to go in there. So that fencing gets put there after the Ishnan Seva in the morning. So only Amritari Gursikhs can go in and do the Ishnan Seva. That's the washing of the inside of Harmandir Sahib. Once that's done at about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, those the fencing, the barriers, whatever you want to call them, yeah, they're put up. Now, the only people allowed inside that fence for the rest of the day is either the Singh Sahib, so the Granthi, the Chaur Bardar, who are the ones who sit by the Granthi and help when they're doing Prakash, Sakhas and Hukamnama Seva, or do Chaur Sahib over Maharaj. Then you have two Chaur Bardars, you then have two Sevadars that sat in front of them, and who help with the Ramalle, the general just upkeep of that area. Then you have the Ardasiya Singhs, who sit closest as when you go to Matha Tek, and they
right next
stand,
to the barrier.
yeah, right next to the barrier. They might pass you like a patassa or something, that kind of stuff. Now, only those can go in there. That's how sacred it is. That's how much of the magnitude we can't, underestimate the magnitude of what this person has tried to do. He's then not paying any attention to any protocol, he's obviously gone there to do beadbi. He's jumped over, but he's done it to maximise the damage in terms of the publicity that he's gonna get. He's then grabbed the kirpan. Fair play to the Sevadars, they were on it. The Granthi Singh as well, I've got to say, you know, very much respect to him. He continued the part, which is, you know, at that time could have been very difficult, you know, someone, you know, to carry that on. But he kept that Maryadak. The Singhs that were there, the Sevadar Singhs inside the Jangala, they push him back out. He's then thrown. You see a Gursikh from the Sangat who's come along, and he's grabbed him by his kind of scruff of his neck and flung him back over the barrier. He's then taken, from what accounts are saying, you know, eyewitnesses, he's taken to room 50 near Teja Singh Samudri Hall. And he's beaten, and by all accounts, he's beaten with kade, and he comes to his demise. He's killed. So those were the actual events in terms of what took place. Yeah. And I think what we'll look to do is unpick why this might be happening. But I think the key thing, just for this starting, is this for Sikhs is not just an attack on a religious place, it's not an attack on a holy book, because this is what people are saying and questioning us on. This is an attack on our Guru, and we as Sikhs, and it's not, I hate this notion of, we believe Guru Granth Sahib's the living Guru. No, we don't believe that. We know that Guru Granth Sahib Ji is our Guru. They're the living Guru. It's not a belief thing. If you don't have that belief, though, let's say, if we're going to break it down, if you don't believe that Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is the living Guru, then you can't call yourself a Sikh, because Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji said that I am leaving you with Guru Granth Sahib Ji. That is my saroop, that is my everything. So for us, it's like, imagine Guru Nanak Dev Ji was sat there and someone's come, picked up a kirpan in front of them and waved it at them. Yeah. Would you just sit there? Let's change that. Let's not even use the example of Maharaj Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Your dad is sat at home, someone comes into your house, jumps over the fence or the front door, breaks it down, picks up a shastra and waves it in front of your dad's face. What are you going to do? Just say, can I just stop you there?
That's attempted murder.
Exactly.
If in the eyes of the law, if you really want to look at it in the eyes of this law, here, it's attempted murder. What do you think he's going to do if he managed to take the kirpan out? And
I think the other thing with what you've said there, Baji, is that actually in India there has been a law that's been passed. I can't remember the year now. For some reason 2004 or 14 is coming into my, but I could be wrong. There has been a law passed though that recognises Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji as a living Guru. So it's not, so even the Indian law, not that it's ever upheld, and that's a separate issue and we can come to that a little bit later, but the magnitude of this has to be understood, that our Guru was attacked, and on the back of the last 10 years of constantly attacks on our Guru, enough is enough. And you know what? He got what anyone who comes Jadke at Harmandir Sahib gets, and it's as simple as that.
So we've understood, thanks for that. It was a real detailed account. So we've understood someone's come, why that's kind of such a serious issue for us, how there's been widespread beadbis over the last 10 years or so. And then the video, I think some people went live on Instagram showing the Sangat. There's a lot of commotion in the Sangat. So the Sangat are trying to get him, but the SGPC Sevadars have took him into the office, and there's a big commotion outside saying, I think the Sangat members trying to climb the gate saying, give him to us. And you can see the kind of Josh in the Sangat, and then finally his body is kind of dragged out and kind of almost by the Shromani committee to say, look, no, we have dealt with this. So I guess let's talk about that next. So that's probably the next part of it is he gets beaten to death with kade, right?
Yeah, from what the accounts are saying.
From what the accounts are saying. So talk to us about that a little bit.
So from when we were all here, we all got messages as soon as it happened. It was on live on PTC. So we were all listening to it, watching it, what's going on. And then just in the back of your head, you're like, well, what's really going to happen to him, innit? He's just going to be handed over to the police and that's it. Another one brushed under the carpet, nothing's going to happen. And then, I'm not going to lie, me personally, as soon as I seen that video and the news article where it said that he's been beaten to death by the Sevadars there, I was over the moon, ecstatic. I was like, you know what? Finally, the president has been set. This is what happens now. You want to commit beadbi, this is what's going to happen. And I think that president was set from Delhi. If we remember back to Delhi at single border when someone came to do beadbi there, then the Hung Singhs there set the president then to the panth. Okay, anybody tries doing beadbi on Maharaj, that's it. They can't take another breath.
And I think the thing with that, Baji, is The precedent was set there, but the reason why there is a discussion about this even happening, or you've got all these people waging, you've got people, who, when Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji's angs, and it hurts to say this and think back to those images, but we all saw it, Bargari, Jodhpur, all these places where Guru Sahib's angs are thrown into the streets, into the dirt, into the naliyan, like literally into the sewage, Not one of these people who is now speaking up and telling us that how we should or shouldn't react when our Guru's beadbi is being done. Where were they then? When did people say? You've got news outlets like NDTV and BBC, who are now reporting this. When did the BBC ever report on any of the beadbis? Any of the beadbi? The fact that there was a year-long mortar, they didn't report nothing, The fact that Punjab was shut down on so many occasions over the last 10 years, I couldn't even count you how many times Punjab's been shut down by the Singhs in reaction, in roast of beadbi. Nothing ever. And then as soon as a Sikh reacts, you've got sacrileges in inverted commas, as if, they're calling it sacrilege, but it's not.
Like
Do you know what I mean? And it's absolutely disgusting. Like where, and if any Sikh is feeling that that's credible, or that because the BBC have said it must be true, I think we really need to have a look at ourselves and where we are stood as a qawm.
Baji, what would you say the response would be to those that say Sikhi is all about compassion? Maybe there's other means, other ways we could have dealt with this.
You know what? Sikhi is an ocean of compassion. But with compassion, to be fully compassionate, like Maharaj says that the whole of Dharam is stood on compassion. But you know what? With compassion, it's about doing what's right as well. Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is God. So even if we look back to all of our gurus, Sri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, when they're in Jang, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, the Mughals are doing Nindya of Maharaj. Maharaj doesn't say anything. Bless. You can say what you want about me. As soon as, and I can't remember the Mughals' name now, but it'll come back to me, I'm sure, later, if one of the Bajis was jumping. As soon as, Sri Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji hears of the Nindya of Guru Nanak Dev Ji to Guru Arjan Dev Ji, that's it, it's on, it's time for battle. And that's our qawm. And whether people think that's not compassion or not, what we have to understand is these Devi Gun, they're called Devi Gun for a reason. Devi Gun means these are guns of like the angels of different realms, We can't understand these completely. Compassion isn't what we think it to be necessarily, that we just let everyone walk over us. If we were so compassionate, then you could say, well, why did Maharaj go to Jang 14 times, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji 4 times? And Baji talked about a precedent being sent in Delhi, and what I just wanted to touch upon is actually that precedent was set hundreds of years ago. It's our badqismati that in our lifetime, for whatever Maharaj's hukum or kaid is with all of this, that we've seen beadbi after beadbi after beadbi with absolutely nothing happening with it. Police case, investigation, and
no justice.
And the precedent was set by Sukha Singh Matab Singh.
So Baji's talked about, it's a good question, right? And we're getting that a lot, is what about the compassion, and what about I think it's public lynchings are it's a mob public lynching, vigilantism, taking the law into your own hands. So the question I want to ask is, who said Sikhi is about that in the first place? So who said Sikhi isn't about that kind of this kind of stuff in the first place? So I think you talked about Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji. We know the Jang of Kesari Chand. Kesari Chand is decapitated by what they're saying. His head is brought back to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and I think Guru Pratap Suraj Maharaj, I think Maharaj kicks it. So there is absolutely that side of Sikhi. So why is that being suppressed, and who's peddling the narrative of it's all about compassion? And this is what we want to probably go on to next. Is the BBC. So when the Sikhs feed thousands of people every single day, when the Sikhs feed the police that are firing bullets on them, when the Sikhs do anything for all the lovely stuff that we do, then we're heroes, right? Then we're great. When we speak up for something that we actually believe in, then all of a sudden we're vilified, and all of a sudden it's sacrilege in kind of inverted commas, as it's up to like personal definition or something. The Panths already set that definition of what beadbi is. We don't need the BBC to tell us what beadbi is. Who are they to define that for us? And we've got like both sides of the political spectrum. So like nationalist right wing people saying, oh, this is the last time I'm going to step foot in a gurdwara, this kind of craziness, even though it's the same Hindu right wing which has done way worse stuff, if just in a pure violence sense, and that too mindless violence. Or it's the extreme left wing, which is kind of apologetic for every single movement ever, saying that where's the compassion? in the Sikhs now. We've got non-Sikhs telling us that this isn't Sikhi.
Yeah.
How's that happened?
You know what? Honestly, I think this is a problem wider than just say this. This is a problem with society, yeah? Social media gives everyone a platform to feel that their voice is needed or wanted or valued in any way, shape or form. We live in a very polarized society where generally the political spectrum is you're either extreme left-wing or extreme right-wing. There's very few that float anywhere in the middle anymore, just because of the way society is whole. And you can see that in general elections across the world, yeah? And everyone feels that they can throw in their 2 pennies worth when it's some negativity. Like you said, where are these people tweeting when all the great stuff's going on? And at the same time, as soon as we stand up for something that we believe in, something that's right, that's it, Sikhs are the villains. And it's always been the case. It will always be the case. But one thing we have to remember is that one thing Sikhi never has been, never will be, never has been, never is intended to be, is a numbers game. There are some religions out there that are based purely on numbers games, and from their inception, it's all been about getting more numbers. Sikhi is a minority faith, will always stay that way, but they'll always be Chardikla. We're celebrating the days or commemorating the days of the Sahibjade in Chamkaur Sahib. And if you look to the Sakhi, the finite detail of that, if we're saying Sikhi is just a compassionate thing, why did Maharaj grab up the Sarpanch and say, yo, get out the gadi, we're having this gadi? When they go to Chamkaur Sahib. So Sikhi, like you said, the reason why we play this whole compassion card, or people do, is because actually we haven't even understood what Sikhi is. Someone tells us that Sikhi is there, compassion. We take our interpretation of compassion and we try and label that on Sikhi. What we need to stop doing is telling our Guru what Sikhi is, and we need to come into the path of the Guru. And once we come into the path of the Guru, and one of the biggest things, and we've talked about this on previous podcasts, is one of the biggest cards that we have as a Qawm is we do not research our own history. We are relying on someone else telling us our history. Our history books are not written by Sikhs, generally speaking. Yeah, like Modi, like they just released some other book recently, so SGPC put an objection. But this is the problem we've got. We are having our history written to us by our enemies who are trying to kill us off, and what they're actually doing is taking out the warrior spirit. It's very nice to just put in there, your job as a Qawm is to feed thousands of people. Which government wouldn't want Sikhs in their country when they're feeding the homeless, clothing the homeless, housing the homeless? You're doing half the government's job. Fair enough, we'll carry on doing it because that is Sikhi. But at the same time, for every biker naya, there's a Sukha Singh Matab Singh. And that will always be the case, all the time.
I think another point, Baji, when you were asking, like people that aren't a part of the faith are commenting on what's going on. Yeah. I think we do that to ourselves. Like you've touched, Baji. Yeah. We use our own interpretation of compassion. People who have got high stages, high seats or whatever, they use their platforms to then, what can I do to get myself popular again? Oh no, I'll drop a comment on this. And when we shoot ourselves in the foot, he's hurting himself, we'll put our 2 pence in there as well, you know what I mean?
That's it. And what is there as well, that's what I want to talk about. So when white people or Hindu nationalists, so Indians, so the colonized Indian people or the colonizers, the white people, when they tell us what there is just you almost acting like we want you to act. Yeah. That's not there.
Acting like our slaves, basically.
Slavery is a deep spiritual state. Yep. You react when we want you to react. Because if that was the case, so for the kind of neoliberals or for the Indian nationalists, we shouldn't have fought in Bangladesh. Yep. We should have objected.
We shouldn't have fought
if we shouldn't have fought for the British. If we just use the same logic, this is incompassionate. We shouldn't have fought in Bangladesh. We shouldn't have fought against Pakistan, and we sure as hell shouldn't have fought in the world wars, right? Because if there was even now it's the beadbi thing's been, it's political, trying not to get too invested emotionally. It's political. The world wars were more political than anything. They were literally political.
It was just politics,
right? So there we're good. There we're giving out medals, for winning Bangladesh, for beating Pakistan, for fighting in both world wars. Then all on Tangier. But if we do this, then it's again public lynching,
and I think what you said, Baji, there is 100% correct. And the thing that comes back down to that is it is about enslaving us. And what do you do with the slave? You use the slave wherever you feel fit. So within us, when we have been ruled over and continue to that continues to happen to us, is that we get fed, again, our narrative, our history when the time fits. So when you want Sikhs to go and put their heads on the line in the world wars, on the front line against Pakistan, against Bangladesh, then you feed them that, you're warrior people.
Yeah.
You know what? You're a martial race. You need to get on it and need to go do it. But as soon as we stand up for, because when we're standing up for their rights, it's all good. But as soon as we stand up for our own rights, and our history has always taught us this. Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji goes and gives their cease for the Hindu Dharam. Those same Hindus, Bahari Raje, start a kick-off with Maharaj, and that develops, and then they get Aurangzeb involved. Aurangzeb is back. All of that happens. And one thing, again, that comes back to our Itihas is we have these right-wing Indian nationalists telling us what our role in their society is, what our role in our own dharam is, because we've almost always made them out to be the ones that were suppressed and oppressed by the Mughals, and we came along and helped them. Yeah, we did. Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji did. But then look throughout Itihas, how much saath have they ever given us? Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Shahidi, who's that down to? Chandu. Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, the Jangs, who's that down to? A lot of that was the likes of Bhim Chand. Again, Pahari Hill Raja. So we have to get to know our history, because history has got a habit of repeating itself unless we learn the lessons from it and implement stuff.
So, but just to bring it back to the beadbi case that happened on, was it the Saturday the 18th?
Yeah.
Every 5 years, Gela, in Punjab, there's a spike in incidents of beadbi. Don't get me wrong, beadbi is happening there pretty much daily nowadays, yeah. But there's always seems to be a spike every 5 years whenever the Punjab elections are back. Yep. It's not a coincidence that the elections start in 2 months. Yep. Yeah. What happened before? I think it was Bargari Morcha.
Yeah.
That was the last election.
Yeah.
The Badals were blamed for that, or I think they were,
they were made to be the key perpetrators.
They were the key perpetrators behind that. And I'm just waiting now. Just wait a couple of days. Something's going to come out from one party or another, blaming the other for the beadbis.
Yep.
Why is it that us as a Qawm are being made into these like puppets for politicians? To win votes, to just to gain favour.
Why is it? I don't know, but it's a sad state of affairs, and I think there is definitely a political link there. But I think for us as a people, what we have to very much differentiate is that political game is happening in the background, but as a Qawm, we cannot allow that to be the reason. And I know you're not saying that, but I just want to clarify for our listeners out there, is that the politics playing in the background cannot be differentiated or separated. It has to be, separated from the outcome of if someone comes to do beadbi.
That's
the
it.
Political game,
the answer should always be the same.
Because love and our praying for our Guru isn't a political agenda. Unfortunately, it's being used as a political agenda to play with the heartstrings of Sikhs, and they're getting braver every time. If they're going to come and do it at Harmandir Sahib, in the middle of Rera Sahib, what's left? And then the next day, there's another beadbi.
This is what I was going to say.
You know what I mean? It's like
they're
one
getting
after the
braver
other.
and braver,
Yeah.
so they've seen, okay, it's happened at Darbar Sahib,
Yeah.
right? If they're really that scared of doing it, they were like, bloody hell, this geezer's been killed.
Yeah.
He's been, as people want to call it, lynched publicly. Yeah. Then and there, we better not do anything else.
Yep.
The next day, is it Nijampur?
Yeah.
Jila Karputla?
Yep.
Amrit that time, the Peradars, obviously the Sevadars of the Godra,
Yep.
see someone climbing the Nishan Sahib,
Yeah.
cutting the light of the Nishan Sahib so no one can see, then playing with the Nishan Sahib Kapra, trying to take it down, basically, yeah. Sevadars, all within their rights again, grab him, but not this time, they actually interrogate him.
Yeah.
They're like literally beating him, asking him questions. Who sent you? Where are you from? I think in one interview just of that case, they're saying they got out of him that he was sent from Delhi.
Yeah. And he said something like his sister's been sent as well.
Yeah. So, it's not just one or two people coming and doing it. It seems like there's a little army that's been set just to come and commit beadbi around Punjab. And, at the minute it's just Punjab. But who knows what's going to be actually happening? What's being reported?
Yeah.
We're only seeing what's being reported.
And you know what? With that, Baji, what you've talked about there in terms of the second day. So in the Kapurthala one, you've got that they've questioned him or whatever. Now this guy has given nothing away. Then you've got the same people who are telling us how we should police our own faith, saying that in the first one, he should have been asked, he should have been handed over to the police. Look, we've had year after year people handed to the police, and all that happens is we get told that they're mentally ill. It seems like, first of all, India does not have any regard for mental health and illness. That's a fact. Everyone knows that. And then as soon as someone's committed a beadbi, it's mental health, it's mental illness, and then they're let off.
It's like it's only reserved for beadbi cases.
It's like everyone with mental health in India comes to a gurukar and does beadbi. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this person, is people are saying, oh, they might have just been chor, he might have been whatever. In India, as soon as a chor is found, before they even get the first beating that they're going to get, they start screaming and they tell everything because they don't want the beats. Everyone knows in India, if you get caught pickpocketing someone, you get absolutely half beaten to death. That's a fact. It happens. Everyone knows that, So let's just be realistic with what happens in India. Let's not all try and sit on the high horse and from whatever seat we're sat on, whatever political spear we're from, and try and talk about the world like the world's this perfect, human rights, sanctuary, because none of these countries and none of these politicians piping up from all over the world, all of their parties, all of their people have got dirt on them, and no one cares about humanity. That's a fact. The only faith that you're going to find that actually cares about humanity is ours, but within that there's limits. You can't just take the mick. And I think the fact that the guy said absolutely nothing speaks volumes. They're very well trained people that they're getting used. Who says nothing when they know they're going to get killed?
Yeah, and again, obviously, just to confirm, because I never mentioned it, he was then killed again by the Silvadars.
Yeah. So the precedent has been set.
Like we said, the precedent has been set.
So mental health. So whilst no one knows anybody's mental state, what you've just described seems like a highly motivated person.
Yeah.
With a clear agenda.
Yeah.
And that's not.
It doesn't fit. Look, let's be realistic. Mental health, very, very serious issue. No one's taken away from that. But anyone that talks to anyone or knows of anyone that has mental health, are struggling with the mental health, they will know that nothing that they say or do is very coherent. It's all irrational. And that's one of the biggest things with mental health is trying to rationalize with the person to get their thinking to be a little bit straight. But these people are absolutely just like, they're trained. They're steadfast in their thinking and what they're doing.
They are well trained. You're telling me if someone walked in this room now, gave you absolute shit to the inch of your life, you wouldn't give him a piece of information.
Exactly.
Without being trained to that level of, mental state where you will not break no matter what.
Yeah.
And that takes some serious
sounds
training.
Ridiculous that the comparison I'm going to make here, but if you watch that SAS program that comes on Channel 4, and they do that thing, don't they? The last challenge is always, and it's like I said, it's a bit of a silly comparison, but honestly, this came into my head when I'm hearing these people are saying nothing. When they're getting beaten, the SAS train their soldiers to such a high level that if they are ever captured, and it's not even physical abuse, because obviously British Army, all the protections that come with it, generally other countries will very rarely kill one of the army personnel when they've been captured because of all the, how war plays out, etc., etc. But even if it's non-physical, but the mental torture, they are trained to have high levels of tolerance. These people are getting beats, and they're not speaking. So their motivation and what's driving behind them is very, very worrying. But then you'll have people, I'm just going to play on a little bit of the argument that people will give us is, if we kill them, we will never get to the bottom of it. My response to that is we've never got to the bottom of it anyway. We have to make it that whatever is motivating them, that has to motivate them higher than their living the next day. And you know what? If that's what they want, then that's what they'll get. But that's what they need to know will happen, is that whatever their motivating factor is that more precious than your life? And if it is, then it is what it is.
So bringing it back really. So to the people that don't quite understand our history and have kind of a different grip on compassion, for them, would like to say, please learn our history a little bit better from authentic sources, rather than a watered down, pandering to the colonial forces version of Sikhi. To the people who, there's always these unrealistic kind of troll comments saying, we've got him into just saying Samundri Hall. First, we should have got him a defense lawyer, and then we should have set up a judge, and then we would have ran a 10-day trial. Afterwards, it's some nonsense I read, right? In
make it into a TV drama, isn't it?
Yeah, in the last couple of days. You're right, Baji. We've never got to the bottom of it. Bottom of it. We don't want to get to the bottom of it. We want to get to the end of it.
Yeah, it needs to stop.
And this is the means to get to an end of it. those one last thing that I thought of is the BBC press was absolutely terrible. All the mainstream press on this was as expected, and it kind of further shows that if any kind of activists or vocal Sikhs are still bothered about quote bad press, just leave it. It's always bad press. It's always bad press. You can do a billion good things, right? And you could do something that won't, is say misunderstood. Let's call it that, misunderstood in the public domain, and you'll just get shot down for it.
It's like who we had to please, innit? If we really and truly we want Guru's Kushiyan, and you know what I mean,
like
them sword men that got
that.
And
had a good press.
You know what? With that as well, is when we do the good, we don't do it for the press, and we need to stop pushing that in the press. Yeah, we need to stop looking for their approval of our Sikhi. Yeah, if we're feeding the homeless because we believe that Guru Sahib has told us to do there and everyone, which they have, yeah, that you see the Raja and the poor, the Bekari as the same, yeah, which we should. We do that because of our love for our Guru, our love for God. At the same time, with that same love, that same compassion, if someone Guru karte chad ke onda, we give them the prasad that they deg and tegi te dono hi chalde a, and they always chalde rehnge. And basically the person coming to the Guru Ghar chooses what they're going to get. Are they going to have deg, langar pani, or are they going to have the teg? And that's up to them.
And just one personal thing on my view on this whole beadbi issue, yeah, this in any other country, any other world would be classed as a terrorist attack. 100%. This is a terrorist attack on our Guru.
100%,
yeah,
100%.
They went to the end of the earth to find Bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, who committed all these atrocities. Yeah, it's the same for us. This is a terrorist attack on our Guru, which is only punishable by death. Simple.
Yeah. How many people did you get saying that, when Bin Laden just got popped off in the sea and that, yeah, well, he wasn't given a trial. And, I'm not justifying what he did or anything like that, but what Baji said just made me think that, we have to be realistic of what this means to us as a Qawm. And we're not living Sikhi for someone else's gratification or approval. Yeah. We live Sikhi because that's our path to God, and that's our Guru who give their whole family for us. And, if we can't stand up for what's right, it's not even standing up. It's just speaking in the right place and giving the right message. And as soon as we're trying to live our Sikhi to get approval from the BBC, NDTV, and all these next politicians, we're on a slippery slope.
And just one more thing, it's happened in Punjab. We don't know where these people are, where they're infiltrated, where they're not. So just as Sikhs, we should just be vigilant, no matter where we are in the world. Yeah, you could be in England, you could be America, Canada, India, Europe, anywhere. Be vigilant of your Guru Ghars. Be vigilant of who's coming, who's going. You never know when and where this can happen.
100%.
And we can't. We're a million miles away from our martyrs, the people that whose pictures are on our walls. But we can start to adopt their swords. So famously, I remember a reporter coming to Sant Tirunel Singh Ji, and she said to Sant Tirunel Singh Ji, she said, "You're a qatil, you're a killer." And Sant Tirunel Singh's exact reply was, "We're not killers, but shaheedan de qaatilan nu main kadi maaf nahi karunga." And it's unapologetic. It's absolutely unapologetic. Like this is our line, yeah, right? And we're okay with it. And we don't need it to be watered down by press. We don't need it to be watered down by anybody. Even if you're a British MP, if you're not fully read on the issue and you don't fully understand the tenets, just leave it. Just express some remorse on the beadbi. Say, "Oh, really saddened to hear that kind of stuff." We don't need you to weigh in on it. We don't need you to weigh pander to the British MPs to try and make this. We want you to leave it as it is, so Gore or the non-Sikh community can understand what this is for what it is. We don't need you to come out here and say, "Oh, you know what? Like a double, like a double काम नहीं करता कि we're apologetic for the for the beadbi, that's really bad, but we also this public lynching isn't very good. So if you've not got anything good to say, just leave it. Just leave it, right? And if you need better PR, then तुसी सानू message करो.
Yeah, we'll give you
we can write something better.
And I think just very quickly to add on the back of that, and I fully get what you're coming from there. 100% agree with what you're saying, Baji. But I think the other thing that I'd like to add is I've seen some of our Bantak brothers who very much of the same sort are putting out there and tagging different politicians and saying, "Why haven't heads of states done this, that, and the other?" The heads of states didn't care when a genocide was committed against us. They haven't cared since that day. They didn't care before it since it. So we need to generally, as a Qawm, stop looking externally and look for the answers internally, because anything that you need to look for in the world is within our Qawm. So I think we need to stop looking externally, external approval, external answers, external support. We deal with our own issues in our way, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But that's what we are. That's what we do. We carry on.
That's it. And on that, we don't really care what people believe. Sans Dirna Singh famously at Manji Sahib, stop begging from those that have become immune to your tears. We don't need to pander to anybody, you know. So real Sikhs, or the Sikh masses at heart, the people that practice Sikhi, celebrate this, and that should be left to be viewed as it is in its most raw format. It doesn't need to be dressed up any other way than exactly what happened on that day. So that was the discussion today on the beadbi, and on the widespread beadbiyan, and specifically the beadbi at Sachkhand Sri Harmandir Sahib. That's everything from us from Singh Army Podcast. Tune in to the next episode. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.